Hello everybody, welcome to Country Girl. My name's Kathy Jarvis, and today we're going to talk about hardening off your plants. Now if you're new at gardening, you've probably heard this term and wondered what it actually means. Well, what it means is you're going to take those plants that have been growing inside underneath the grow lights in a nice controlled temperature, maybe with a fan on them to help them to get a little bit stronger, and you're going to take them outside and acclimate them to the weather. And you have to do this because if you just go out and plant them out in the garden and the hot sun beats down on them, they're not going to live. They're going to wilt and go and just die. What they need to do is they need to get some sun a little at a time so that their leaves build up. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I've got all these plants out here that are in the process of being hardened off. And you'll see this one here, how thin this leaf is. You can see my finger right through it. As they get used to the sun, here's one that's not. You can't see my hand. You see how thick that leaf is? By letting them out in the sun for a little bit, they respond almost like a person getting a tan, only their leaves get thicker. They get protection from the sun. And there's a couple of different ways that you can go about hardening them off. Now what I do, which is I find is easiest for me, is I find an overcast day, like today. See how overcast it is? It's getting ready to rain. And I bring them out onto the balcony. And they get sunlight. They get natural sunlight out here because the sun shines in on here. And that doesn't happen all day long. They get a little bit of shade too, which is good. But I leave them out here for 3 days on an overcast day. I bring them in at night, but I leave them out here during the day. As long as it's not super windy or we don't have a whole heavy rain that comes in on them, they're fine. Now another way that you can harden off your plants is to take them, let's say you have to go to work in the morning. Look around in your yard and see a spot that has morning sunlight but it's in the shade in the afternoon. Set your plants out into the sunlight in the morning, and then when you come home from work, bring them back inside before the evening sun hits them again. And this will help acclimate them without you having to bring them in and out all the time. And that is the third way to do it. Take them out into the sun for about 20 minutes and bring them back in. The next day, take them out for maybe 40 minutes, bring them back in. And keep doing that until you have them out all day long. And then after they're out all day long, then leave them out for a couple of nights. Now, one thing for all these hardening off methods, the temperature outside has to be at least 55 to 60 degrees so that your plant will not go into shock from the cold. You don't want it too cold for these warm weather plants, especially the peppers. I try to wait until it's at least 60 before I bring peppers out. 55 for tomatoes. And of course, if you have like the cool weather crops, they can handle even cooler weather in the 40s. The last method, which I don't have any luck with, and I know some people do, is they plant them directly out into the garden, and then they take and put a shade cloth over them, and they leave the shade cloth on most of the time. They bring it off for 20 minutes a day, 40 minutes the next day, just like as if you were taking them out into the sun. The only problem with that is that you have to make sure that the nighttime temperatures are not below 60. I would say. You want your soil temperature and your nighttime temperatures to be warmer so that the plant doesn't shock at night. So that is a couple of ways to harden off plants and why you should harden off plants. And I hope you've learned something. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything. And dream big. Follow that dream. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye everybody.